Today we are here with Tarek Momen, the current #8 professional squash player in the world. Tarek is here for the US Open squash tournament. Tarek, thank you for joining us today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
You grew up in Cairo, Egypt. What was your first exposure to playing squash?
Well, it wasn't the best actually. I was being forced to play.
Oh.
Yeah, my parents introduced me to the game. They bought me a racket and they kind of forced me. This is gonna be your sport. That's what you're gonna do for the next few years. Because as kids we always grow up. We like to play football. It took some time away from my friends, which I didn't like. But yeah, that's how I got into it at the beginning. But then I eventually liked it.
Oh, I guess you have to.
Yeah, I had to. I mean, it became my whole life eventually. Yeah.
What was your training regimen as a junior?
As a kid, it was a bit unstructured. I just, my parents would leave me at the club for hours throughout the day, especially in the summer, and I'd just keep playing and playing. We used to play a lot of matches against each other. We were so many kids. And I used to have maybe one session a day with the coach for 45 minutes.
Right.
And then the rest I just hop on court and play with whoever is there, just play a lot of matches. Not too much fitness, because I was when I started I was 6 or something. Yeah. I started doing fitness when I was maybe 8 or 9. But yeah, that was it. But that was in the summer. When the winter comes, of course, obviously there's school. At first, my parents took studying really seriously, so I had to be a really good student. So I didn't go on a daily basis to play squash.
Right.
But then the days started to increase until they became 5 or 6 days a week.
Oh, wow.
So I'd finish school, maybe go back home, do some homework, and then head to the club for a session with the coach, or maybe just some games with whoever's there.
Did you learn a lot from playing games with your fellow, pro squash players of your age? And
yeah, I think it really helps because I not only did I play with younger kids, I played with older ones who are not so good at their age group, but they're good enough for me. So it kind of breaks, a psychological barrier where you can play an older guy and you try to compete. You also gain a lot of experience, you learn a lot of things playing games, As well, we had so many tournaments a year as juniors. So you get to deal with the nervous factor, when you had to deal with the nerves and the tension. Yeah. You learn it at such young age in Egypt. It's not necessarily a good thing if the parents are really, hardcore into you have to win, sometimes it backfires, but some other times with some kids it works. It works to their advantage,
Right.
You learn so much at such a young age. You get a head start.
And do you think that's definitely helped you into playing
it has.
Today?
I'm 29 now, but I have a lot of experience because this has been going on for. I can say it's been going on for at least 20 years. Whereas for other for competitors who live abroad, they take it easy on the kids a little bit, and they grow into it. So they start dealing with these tough, conditions at an older age. So it may have worked to my advantage, or maybe not. I'm not sure, but this is how we do it in Egypt, and obviously it's working at the time.
Yeah, it's very much different than the American style of doing things. Sort of.
I think it's not only the American. I mean, even the European school. It's all about learning the basics at the beginning, doing a lot of drills, fitness, proper diet. Fitness, everything, but not so much of competition. So yeah, I think that's the difference between the Egyptian school and the rest of the world. I don't know which one is the better, but it has worked for us somehow. So it could be an option worth exploring.
What do you think helped you to be the most successful as a junior? I know you mentioned playing with other players, but is there any other things?
I was a hard worker. I mean, I have to be honest. A kid is always a kid.
Right,
I'd want to go out with my friends. I'd want to, go on trips, play football, know. So my parents' role was really huge at that time because they sort of forced me to do things that I didn't want to do, but they turned out in my favor eventually. They pushed me so hard. I didn't like it, but I had no say in it. I had to do it. Right. So I worked hard. When I saw the results, I got I understood that like where they're coming from, you know. I could tell that this is actually working for me, and even though I don't like it, but it's, you know, the rewards are there. So I somehow went down that line, and it worked out eventually.
Yeah. So you found yourself that you ended up enjoying it after a certain point,
Yes,
because you almost kind of had to.
yeah. I remember one day I was like 10 years old. I was a kid, you know, 10 years old, and I was crying in bed, and I don't wanna play anymore. You know, it's just too much work and with no rewards, no nothing. And then I remember my mom told me, the day you're gonna win your first prize is the day you're gonna appreciate what you're doing.
Right.
And it was true. You know, a few months later, I got my first third place trophy. And I remember I wanted to like hold it in my bed and sleep with it the whole night. It was so good, and from then on I sort of got addicted to winning. You know, you obviously need to have some skills, but the hard work is the most important aspect.
Do you think you can kind of make up what you lack in terms of skill with hard work, or do you think you need to have a combination of both to really?
Absolutely. I mean, the more skills you're gonna have, the better. But nothing can replace hard work. And if you have less skills than other kids but work really hard, you can actually make it all the way to the top. All the way to the top. I've seen this happen so many times. You don't need to have the best set of skills. You just, with the will and determination, you can go high, like really far places.
That's very inspirational.
It is, and I believe in it. I totally believe in it. Yeah.
So when you were a junior, did you travel internationally to play in tournaments?
Yes. I remember one year we had, like the federation, they always like pick the top 2-3 in every age group, and they send them abroad for tournaments. What they normally do is send us to play the British Junior Open and maybe one other tournament, the Dutch Junior Open in the summer. But there was one time where we played 5 tournaments, which was really good, really cool. We played in Switzerland, Germany twice, the Dutch Junior Open and the British Open. I can't remember if there was one extra, but that was a really good year for us. We were exposed, and I was like 12 or 11, so it was really good. And then from then on, they narrowed it down to just the British Open and maybe the Dutch Open. Right. Obviously for cost, cost saving.
It's all about the money.
It's the budget, yeah. But again, we get to compete at such a high level in Egypt that we don't really need to travel a lot, because I would play at least 10 tournaments a year in Egypt. I don't know if Omar told you, Omar Mossad, but he used to be my main competitor when we were kids. Right. I would play him in almost every final, and it was so nerve-wracking. You know, our parents, like, you have to win, you can't lose to him, you know, we were like the enemies. I got to learn so much about nerve control in this period when I was competing with Omar and the rest of the juniors, because there were other kids who were really good at the time. So yeah, international exposure was good, but we also had really good competition back home in Egypt.